Hello everyone, I'm just on here to do an impromptu video for you guys about a download that I received about 2 days ago when I was with Rex. So Rex absolutely loves Home Depot and I hate Home Depot. I hate building things, I hate working with cars, I hate all of that stuff. And interestingly enough, this video is going to be about that today. Now, Rex asked me to help him build a ladder the other day. And of course, I wanted to be of service, so I said yes, regardless of whether or not I like Home Depot. You know, operating from your heart sometimes is about stepping out of what is familiar to you and helping other people. So to me, that's not spiritually bypassing. Bypassing is when the universe is trying to show you something or is giving you an opportunity to stretch your mind or expand into a different matrix of thought that you're not necessarily used to or familiar with, and then you're like, no, 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 and you don't want to look at anything in life. To me, I want to look at everything. I want to look at the shadow. I want to understand why in life I might be resisting something or opposing or objecting to something. So for me, anytime it comes to being of service, I will do that because I grow just by opening up my heart and being there for people, even if that means that I'm not building the actual ladder, but I'm lending a hand in whatever capacity I can. All right, so we went to Home Depot. We grabbed all the things that we needed to build this ladder. And when we got to his place, we worked for about 2 hours. And then he was out of nails or out of screws. And I'm like, yay, we're done today. You know, we started laughing. But what came clear to me that day is, and I thought this was so cool, I kind of saw Rex as like a ray of light who loved everything that had to do with like building and working and getting dirty and all this. And then I saw myself as a different ray of light. And we're both rays of light that are part of Source, and no one's better than the other. We're both the same, but we both get excited at the thought of different endeavors, at the thought of different things. Now, that's not to say we can't work symbiotically together. I want to be there for him and he wants to be there for me, so we can still help each other even though it's not what we specialize in. So I was pondering this whole idea of spiritual bypassing that day, and it became clear to me that if you don't like something in life, like if you don't like to give yourself a massage and you'd rather get a massage yourself, or if you don't like to build things, does that necessarily mean that you're spiritually bypassing? Absolutely not. It just means that you know your rightful place. You know what you're here to do. You know your role on this planet. For me, I'm very excited when it comes to esoteric knowledge and existentialism and meditation. And that's only one branch of this infinite multiverse that we're a part of, right? I'm sure that Rex gravitates to building things because whether it's conscious or unconscious or subconscious, he grows spiritually whenever he's building things. He's getting in tune with himself. He's embracing what he's excited about, which then moves him into a space of alignment. So while I was with him that day, I asked my guides, the nine, and I said, does it mean that I'm bypassing if I don't like doing this kind of thing? Am I going to have to reincarnate because it's something that I don't want to do, or something that doesn't really intrigue me or excite me? And they said, of course not. What it is that you know where you stand. You know what you're here to do. And if everyone is able to align themselves with their divine gifts, with their divine purpose, then what we'll have is a planet filled with masters who can come together and co-create to contribute to the entire collective. So the vision I got was really cool. I saw Rex as like this ray of light, all right, and I was a different ray of light, but we're from the same source, but we have a different soul signature. And what enthralls him may not necessarily enthrall me, right? So I saw us as different rays of light, and I asked the nine, will I ever build things? They said, no, you won't. You've been here many lifetimes, or on alternate timelines, working towards your Stargate ascension. And Rex is too. We all are, but in different capacities. So for me, I happen to be very passionate about universal wisdom and meditating, all that. And I've been doing that many lifetimes. And they said, you're going to keep doing this for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So you belong to this ray of light. And and I don't know much about rays of light, but that's what I saw in my vision. all right, with my inner sight. I saw that it was like a ray, and I belong, or I'm an ambassador of this particular star race. And then Rex might be an ambassador of a different star race, and they learn and they expand through building things and all of that, you know? So I just thought that the vision was really profound and really neat. And for the first time, I came to see that if you accept what your gifts are, the gifts that have been bestowed upon you, if you really accept them and you stick with what excites you in life, meaning you follow your bliss and you keep refining and refining and refining and refining, then you are becoming a master within that ray of light. Within that ray of light. But you'll never be all of the rays together, because as long as you're in duality, you're going to belong to a star race, or you're going to belong or be a representative of a particular specialty or specialization. So for me, I might be under the umbrella of esoteric wisdom, right? And everything that has to do with communicating with ET beings and meditating and working with our pineal gland to activate the Merkaba and leave the body through astral travel. I might be really into that. But that only covers one little corner, if you will, of, or it covers a matrix within an infinite matrix of thoughts, an infinite matrix of consciousness. So people who are athletes, they're growing, they're part of that particular ray, and they're mastering their ability, and they might come back to continue to do the same thing. Or not. You know, that's what's beautiful about this universe. There's a wide assortment of options as to what we want to bring on board and what we want to just abandon. And you have a right at any given moment to consciously complete a blueprint, right? Meaning if my blueprint was I'm going to constantly fine-tune myself within the context of spirituality, overnight I can decide to discard that and give birth to a new blueprint. Overnight. So you always have options. You have your free will. But why would I do that if I'm so excited about it? Which lets me know that I've probably been doing it many lifetimes, and I will continue to elevate my consciousness within that context. So I might never be the guy who repairs cars. I might never be the guy who builds ladders. Never. And guess what? Maybe that's beautiful. It's not spiritually bypassing. Again, spiritually bypassing would be like if I said, Rex, I don't want to help you, right? It's all about me. I just don't want to help you. But someone I care about deeply was asking me for my help, and I wanted to be there in whatever way I could be of service, right? It's not that I'm afraid to look at that. It's not that I'm afraid to get my hands dirty and repair a car. It's that the thought of that doesn't like spark my interest or my curiosity. There's zero resonance. There isn't an ounce within my body that wishes to explore that. So if I did explore it, I'd pretty much be dishonoring myself, because this path is about following what brings you joy. And even though that comes with challenges sometimes or uphill battles, that's what this path is about, is wanting so much something so badly that you're willing to go through it. You're willing to slog through that energy. You're willing to enter uncharted waters. You're willing to go there because it means that much to you. You know, if you, for instance, were, let's say, a Mexican resident and you wanted to migrate to the US, and that meant that much to you, that's because your spirit guides see expansion for you within that journey, within that life path. So you would do everything you could to make that happen. It wouldn't necessarily be easy, but you know, it's kind of like a seed that germinates and it has to grow through mud. That's kind of what we're talking about here. That's expansion. But let's just consider for a moment that I belong to a ray of light, and this ray of light is on this planet, as many of you are, to educate people on spirituality and how to work with our energies, with our electromagnetic frequencies, to magnetize what we want without having to put in the work and do all that hard labor. Maybe we belong to a different ray of light. Okay? It doesn't mean it's higher than someone who chooses to get their hands dirty and go work 9 to 6 and 9 to 5 and then run over here and run over there. It doesn't mean that you're higher. It just means that you're here for a different purpose and you specialize in that skill set. And accepting that you have unique gifts that have been bestowed upon you is so incredibly beautiful. You know, oftentimes I see dancers try to be singers. And that's okay if that's where they're leaning towards, meaning that there's that desire in them that they absolutely have to learn how to sing. Then it might mean that they're supposed to activate a dormant memory, or they're supposed to activate that DNA within them, which will eventually enable them to sing really well and to affect people that way. But every once in a while, you can see someone who's trying to be something that they're not. Meaning, like, let's say that their energetic makeup is such that they're supposed to manifest without having to constantly go, right? They don't have that warrior mentality. That's not how they're made up energetically. And they're trying to be that other person they look up to who's like that entrepreneur, like, let's go get him, let's go crush this day. To me, that's not as organic. That's not a very symmetrical presentation, or they're not working in symmetry or in harmony with their natural makeup. And there's a reason why they're exuding so much force, because they're not supposed to exert that much force. Maybe they're supposed to accept that they're more of the, let me work with my energy and be an introvert, and that way I can start to draw to me what I am desiring. So that would be bypassing to me. That would be an example of bypassing, because they're not accepting their natural gifts, or they're not wanting to look at that and foster that or harness that, and instead they're trying to emulate someone else, which is a little too forceful, right? And it's a very subtle distinction between the people who are wanting to sing because even though they can't sing, they want to sing because their guides want them to, and that might be part of a bigger calling that relates to their expansion. And then someone who's trying to sing because it's what they think they're supposed to do or what would be perceived as cool. A huge difference. Organic, inorganic, right? Organic, artificial. So my point here is the vision I got was so cool. I saw that, like, the Pleiadians are a ray of light just like Rex is. And then the Arcturians are another ray of light. They originate from the same source, from source matrix, which to me, source is like this, all the geometrical structures that you can imagine, everything you can imagine, that's the source matrix. But then source had to kind of offshoot or branch off into infinite universes to experience itself. So when it branches off, it takes on a certain shape or a color or array. And the Pleiadians are not better or worse than the Arcturians. They're the same. We're all equal. We're all one. But they might specialize in a different skill set than the Arcturians. Like when I connect to the Pleiadians, I get a very elderly, like they've been here before. They've been where we are. And so they have bodies or have something like bodies, and they might give you tough love sometimes. And they may not always give you the answer that you want to hear or that your ego wants to hear. You know, whenever I consult the Pleiadians, they're always pointing me back inside. Hey, Pleiadians, what should I do? Well, you get to decide that. You're the maker of your reality. You're the master of your destiny. So that's what they do to me. They're very tough love, but they love you, and they're still multidimensional, but they're more involved than the group that I work with, which is my main group, the White Wing Collective Consciousness of 9. When I connect to the frequency of the 9, I feel like they're as involved, but in a different manner. So they feel like they're right there in my face with so much love, but they're not as involved in terms of telling me what to do. The Pleiadians might tell me you're not ready for this. You need to, work on your power, on your personal power, and when you're ready, then go ahead and do that. So they're going to be a little more specific with the knowledge or the tidbits of truth that they give to you. They're going to be a little more specific. The other thing about the Pleiadians is they're very practical. Like, Phil, this is what you need to do now, da 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 da. And when I bring them through on a session with clients, they're very practical, and they don't always tell you what you want to hear. But tough love or real love, unconditional love, will keep it real with you, and that's what I love about the Pleiadians. And then the 9, the reason why I feel so at home when I'm channeling them is because I enter this space. It's like this transcendental space where they're showing me every angle of every geometrical consciousness structure there is, and they're going to offer me tons of options as to how or what I can do without telling me what to do. So when I'm working with the 9, I have the overview. I'm able to see all these different perspectives, and then they're very much like, you do whatever is your preference. Do whatever floats your boat. It's all perfect. Just do whatever floats your boat. We're just offering you a hefty amount of options that you can take on board, and then it's up to you. We're here for you. They're always so loving and encompassing and inclusive that I've never ever heard them come across judgmental. Like, if someone's running a lot of limiting beliefs, the energy of the Pleiadians may not sit well with everyone because it's going to be too in your face and too direct, right? They're very blunt like that. They're like your grandparents that have been through it all, that want the best for you, but the answers they give you may not always be the tidy answer that you're looking for. It may not be that marshmallow. It's going to be a little more pronounced. But the 9... so the Pleiadians are amazing, and the 9 are as amazing in that whenever I channel them, it's very, very rare that the people I speak to will get offended or triggered. They're non-dualistic guides. The Pleiadians are non-dualistic, but again, because humans tend to run a lot of programming, a lot of that dense energy, they might misinterpret the love that's being transmitted to them by the Pleiadians as, how dare he say this to me, or how dare they say this to me? You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on how many restrictions someone has placed on themselves, or how encapsulated someone is within the 3D matrix. So the Pleiadians don't always sit well with people because they're very, they'll point you back inside every time. And I like working with that energy, but the 9 is, I just find myself expanding constantly when I'm working with them, because they'll show me one angle and then show me a different angle, and then another angle and another angle. And their opinions never come across dualistic to any human. They're very embracing. So my point, this brings me to my point. My point is that, what if it's okay that I'll never build a ladder? What if it's okay that I'll never get my hands dirty and repair a car? That's where we can honor each other as unique soul signatures. If you specialize in ballet and you've been training for ballet many lifetimes, and you come back as a 5-year-old and you're like doing it like you're an expert, because you are an expert because you've been training so long, and you master that particular art form, and I attend one of your shows and I'm moved to tears by your ballet performance, then you're a master. You're a master, and I want to pay for admission to your show because I want to honor you and your gift, and I want to honor everyone who's helped co-create that. And I might pay someone to give me a massage because I don't want to massage myself. Is there anything wrong with massaging myself? No, and remember, everything I'm sharing right now is just a perspective. But it's not necessarily bypassing if I don't want to give myself a massage. It means that I honor that you've studied your entire life for that. and that you specialize in that, that you represent that ray of light that gets into your muscles and might pull out karma that I'm not able to pull out from my bones or from my teeth or from my whatever, from whatever body part. You know, all those energies that get stored in the nooks and crannies of our auric fields. So I want to honor you as a Masseur and as a representative of that ray of light or that star race, whatever you represent, and you could represent a bunch of star races, but I want to honor you and give you money, which is energy, for your mastery. You know, and if someone comes to me for counsel, they're just saying, I honor that you've mastered, or you're in the process of mastering, or all, that you've mastered this whatever is associated with multidimensionality. You know, and I haven't mastered it. I'm a student, but I'm saying comparatively to what some other people might be mastering, you know, I spend a lot of time on that. So they would be coming to me for my specialty or for what I specialize in to honor that. And to me, that's what working as a collective is all about. It's not let me be the jack of all trades and fix my car and meditate and that. That's not what it's about. It can be what it's about, but just stick with me for this perspective. It's about co-creating as masters of our own reality, right? As sovereign beings who have found their calling, who are walking in harmony with their spirit guides, with their galactic teams, who are in full harmonic alignment with their divine soul purpose. They're in full alignment with their soul purpose. And because they're in alignment, they're like a walking portal of higher dimensional energies and frequencies. They're broadcasters of that incredibly potent and pristine light that is pouring out from their systems, because your energy is always being emitted. The highest dimensional energy is always being emitted when you're walking in concert with your higher self. Right? So going back to the example that I mentioned before, if someone is trying to be that go-getter entrepreneur, and it's not what their oversoul or their spirit team has in store for them, but really their magic lies in just meditating and then everything comes to them, well, them forcing it is not really walking in alignment. So they're not broadcasters of that super multidimensional light. If you master being a healer, and I master being a reader, and then I need a healing from you, and then you need a reading from me, you know, and this can go so many different directions. It could be that you bake the best cake in the world, or that you show up as the best attorney that you can, because that's what enlivens you. That's what allows you to expand. It's constantly fine-tuning yourself within that context. Then everyone is sovereign, and everyone can start to contribute to each other, right? Right now, there's a lot of corruption and a lot of distortion because so many people are not doing what they want to do, meaning that they're not aligned with their soul and their mission and their role here as a galactic on Earth. So because they're not aligned, everyone's manipulating each other. You know, if you're a true Masseur, meaning you're not doing it just for money, this is what you're called to do, then of course I would want you to get paid for that, and then other people would pay you for that service because you would naturally attract your clientele, right? And we're making each other survive. We're pretty much sustaining each other through our gifts. That to me is an organic, crystalline matrix formation. That to me is where we can all start to operate as a galactic society. So I had a really cool, I know I'm going very long here, but I had a really cool download when I was building that ladder with Rex, because it was like, it doesn't make me less than, or it doesn't make me lazy if I don't want to build a ladder. I want to be of service though. But I would never want to build a ladder daily or things like that. And that doesn't mean I'm lazy or I'm scared. It means that I know what I'm representing. And there's so much to explore within esoteric wisdom, and within these telepathic communications with the nine and these higher dimensional beings, that I wouldn't want to like spend all my time doing something that doesn't come naturally to me when I can be allotting my time to when I could be allotting my time to constantly expanding my consciousness through what I love. And maybe in the next life, I'm going to keep being part of that ray, which I think I will be. Whatever star race that is, or whatever ray of light. Again, I haven't studied these things. I'm just sharing you what I saw. It was like these different rays, different colors of rays. And right now, so many of them in the world are clashing, right? Because they haven't found their rightful place or their alignment. When they find their alignment, you're going to have beautiful like rainbows popping out everywhere that are working together, but maybe in different sectors or different fields, but it all somehow ties together and interweaves as this beautiful tapestry of consciousness. So for instance, this is just coming to me now. Let's say Rex said to me, and he would never say this because he's an amazing being, he's like an angel on earth. Let's say that he said to me, you just don't want to help me. And he started blaming me for not wanting to help him or saying that I would never want to do this daily. Then it's like two rays clashing, meaning galactic wars. You get the idea? It's like galactic wars. That would equate to all the Orion wars and all the spiritual warfare that's going on between angels and demons and all of these different entities. Because the rays are not respecting that they have their own callings. This is powerful. So the green is trying to fight the blue and the red is trying to fight the orange. And it's like, no, go be red, go do you. Go be the best red you can be. And I'm going to be the best orange I can be. And I'm going to be the best green I can be. And I'm going to be the best purple I can be. Right? And then the blue in you interlinks with the star race that is blue. And then the green in them is interlinking with the star race in them that specialize in that. And then it's like this beautiful rainbow consciousness. This diamond rainbow consciousness. Where we're all working as a one, as a collective, co-creating, collaborating. But it's all about symbiosis. And symbiotic relationships are like you and your dog. Like, you don't necessarily need each other because you were doing just fine without each other before, or maybe not. Depends on if your dog was in a shelter or whatever. But just, you get the example. You guys don't necessarily need each other because if it wasn't you, it would have been someone else. And if it wasn't them, then you would have had another dog. But you love having each other. Because you're each other's best friend. But you don't need each other in a codependent way, like I want to control you and I'm trying to one-up you or upstage you. That's not what it's about. It's symbiotic. So the exchange I had with Rex the other day building this ladder was symbiotic. I knew he needed like a hand, even if it's that I'm holding the wood while he's chopping another piece of wood. And I wanted to be there for that. It didn't take away from my alignment. If anything, it added to it because I got to be of service and I'd take any opportunity to step into service. Right? But if he said to me, like, we need to do this daily or you need to stop your meditation, then no, I'm not going to compromise because I know my rightful placement within this ascension process. And I find so much beauty in that because so often in the spiritual community, we talk about like, you're bypassing. And what if a different viewpoint was, no, I'm just being honorable towards my higher self and what comes naturally to me. And I can't cover all bases because I'm one being and I know that I'm part of something bigger and you play an integral part in that. So if we all become sovereign and we all start to become masterful, then guess what happens? We don't judge each other anymore because we understand that my specializing in esoteric wisdom is lending to or contributing to the ascension in some way, shape, or form. And then you specializing in learning about who you are as you repair this car or build this ladder is contributing in some way. Then we can all come together and work in concert with each other. You know, that's why I think it's so important that we start being all encompassing of all perspectives and inclusive. I mean, even in the spiritual community, I've heard like really amazing teachers talk about like, oh, you're not healing, you're just breaking down programs. But that's true. For instance, they might say like, "Oh, you're not." Let's say they're speaking from the 0 point or as source or what they perceive to be source, and they say, "Oh, you attracted being raped or you attracting being abused. You need to hold yourself accountable for that and clean that up. That's yours. You created that." From one viewpoint, you could say that nothing happens accidentally, right? So obviously God or source or the universe allowed that to happen because there were some lessons, or you're about to evolve in a huge way if you address that and you look at your shadow or look at the shadow. But to say to someone, you don't need to heal, you just need to break down that program because when that person abused you or raped you, they transferred a demon onto you or they passed a program to you and you just need to break it down, that's very limiting to me. It's not very inclusive. To me, inclusiveness is you are healing. Being raped is traumatizing and you need to heal that. And from another viewpoint, it is true that from a different viewpoint, you might have subconsciously or unconsciously attracted that. So you would eventually follow the breadcrumbs, if you will, and retrace your footsteps back to your truth. So nothing happens accidentally, but could it be true that things do happen accidentally? Yes, everything is true. And to me, the highest consciousness that we can assume in this life is, let's not negate what's happened to people. Let's not discount other people's experiences. If you're channeling your grandmother, great. And I've heard teachers say things like, no, you're just still fragmented, and once you're embodied, you won't hear your grandmother anymore. Your grandmother was just you the entire time. It was another aspect of you that you hadn't integrated. That's true when you're speaking from one viewpoint. To me, that's more of an absolute reality, or it's like a very 0 point attitude, which is very valid. Yes, it could be true that the voice that you're hearing from your grandmother is a fragment that you need to reintegrate. And then once you reintegrate and embody, then you won't hear your grandmother anymore. But some people do hear their grandmas, and some people are communicating with aliens. So do we discredit their experience? No. We can say this is this, and that is true. It's all true, dependent upon which frequency you're vibrating at. In other words, let's say that I represent a ray of light. Let's say it's the indigo ray, or whatever these beings or things that I'm collaborating with. I belong to this ray that loves to specialize in existentialism, multidimensionality. Let's say that is all of these consciousnesses, like other humans who are like me, like you, like whoever's doing this kind of work, the starseeds, we form a structure. It's like a geometrical structure. Or you can think of it as a very specific ray. It might be blue, it might be indigo, it might, it's a structure. It's sacred geometry. Well, the key would be to see life from our perspective, but also to be able to step out into other geometries, which is someone else's experience. They may not be spiritual at all. And to relate to that and to try to understand that viewpoint so that you can have a broader view of all geometry. So if source is the one matrix of infinite geometrical structures, what we're trying to do is expand back into that, meaning like we start to encompass every angle, every viewpoint. This is what I wanted to say. You can master one shape, right? I have a lot of friends who are really good at like calling you out, and there's nowhere to hide, or they're really good at making money, and being very generous with people. That means that they've mastered that matrix. That matrix is probably affiliated with a star race, or it's probably affiliated with, certain belief systems, but they've mastered that. The ability to make tons of money, be very giving to people, call you out. They're very extroverted, like, yeah, I'm calling you out and there's nowhere you can hide. That very entrepreneurial mindset. So they might have mastered that. But if they're not able to see or lend validity to your perspective, they're still just encased within this shape. Multidimensionality is about, I can honor that I belong to this, but I'm going to add as much as I can to that. I'm going to become source within this matrix that I'm mastering. I don't know if that's too complicated for you guys to understand. So I don't think it is, but like, let's say that you stick to bodybuilding your entire life. That doesn't mean that you're bypassing yoga, because all the information that you ever need can be accessed through bodybuilding. You're deciding to master bodybuilding, but within that structure, you can access all structures. You just choose to experience it through what excites you. So I've seen teachers in the spiritual field who have mastered, let's say, a structure that tells you you create everything that you experience. And you're not healing, it's all just a program, and you need to break and yank those programs out of your system. That's true. They've mastered that structure. But that's only one of infinite geometrical structures and patterns. Okay? Does that make sense? So to me, the way to go about life is to be all-encompassing. You know, I had a few people recently tell me, like, why did you block me from Instagram? What did I do to deserve that? You know, I was just telling you what I felt, blah, 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 blah. And the reason is because I was trying to connect with you at a heart level. I was telling you, I support you, I see you, I honor what's true for you, right? That may not be what's true within the structure that I'm mastering, but I honor it as something that's valid, that's contributing to the expansion of the entire universe. So I'm trying to connect with you at a heart level, and all you were looking to do was to debate with me and upstage me. That's duality. I'm not interested in duality. That's why I will block people sometimes, because if someone is adamant about winning the debate, that's duality. I'm not interested in that. There isn't a droplet in my beingness that is interested in winning the conversation, because what's true for you is also what's true for me. I'm not telling you it's right or wrong. I'm trying to connect with you at a heart level within unity consciousness. And if someone is completely zeroed in on beating me or upstaging me, that's duality consciousness. I'm not interested in that. You know, and there are programs that are really good at hijacking you to wobble you out of your heart space, to wobble you out of alignment, so that you can then eclipse someone else, so that you can then upstage someone else. That's not what we're moving into. Those realities bore me. I want to hear your perspective. I want to know that you don't agree with me, but can there still be respect there? You know, if we can all bring something to the table, meaning that if you can bring fixing a table to the table and I can't fix that table, you know, you may not agree with me that I can't fix a table, but I still appreciate you. You still appreciate me. Like, we can respect each other. We can agree to disagree. That can still be very loving. But if someone's adamant about, like, one-upping you, that's not love. That's an entity that's weaseled its way into your awareness, that's grabbed hold of you and your consciousness, and you're not even here anymore. You're not even here. So the heart center is our present moment awareness. Is having access to all these different timelines, all these different downloads, but remaining anchored in the present moment. When people get super combative and all that, where are you? Where have you just gone? Did you just leave the building? Where are you? And we tend to lose our footing sometimes, and it's important to remain in our hearts. So, as far as duality and separation consciousness, I saw that in 2021, it's going to be seen as a disease. You know, already you guys have noticed the changes. Like, when you hear someone badmouth someone else, you know, you might have engaged or participated in that game years ago, But now you're like, that person is displaying imbalance. And if they're doing it to them, they're going to do it to me. So I'm going to go ahead and walk away now because it's toxic. And I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to subscribe to that. I don't want to subjugate myself to that. So it's like, unsubscribe. I'm not interested in this right now because you already know, you've lived it. You've played it out. You know that if someone, sorry, my screen. You know that if someone gossips, they're probably going to do it to you as well. So when we see people bad mouthing others, right then and there, it's like a red zone where we already know because it's happened to us before, and we've been that villain in the past as well. You know, we've experienced both sides, but you've graduated from it. So in 2021, when people are like debating with you, even if it's within a spiritual context, that still carries that same energy of separation. So that was my message today. I went 40 minutes, you guys. So yeah, that was the download I got for Rex, is that in that moment, I just got this zip file of information where it was like, he's a ray of light and he's following his bliss and all the things that bring him joy. And that allows him to be a beautiful channel of cosmic information and light. And then I'm not bypassing if I'm not interested in those things. It just means that I know where I belong. And if I'm not feeling a resonance there, then I'm not going to do it, because then it would be forced. It would be inorganic. So I hope this message helps you guys. Thank you for subscribing, to all of you who have subscribed. And thank you to Aluna Ash, especially. I'm thanking you on this video because you shared me with your community, and that meant the world to me. So thank you. Thank you to everyone, and stay strong, you guys, because when I know a lot of you right now who are watching are grid workers and gatekeepers and guardians of New Earth and starseeds and wayshowers and galactic shamans and shapeshifters, when you're on this path, there are going to be a lot of people who bully you. A lot. It's happened to me over the course of many, even before I awakened, but I'm very used to it now. And what I've learned is that when you don't conform to people's games anymore, you don't subscribe to them trying to debate you or them trying to project their negativity onto you, you might get bullied sometimes, and they might perceive you as a false prophet, or they might perceive you as a false healer. People have said that to me countless times, but I've been in this game long enough and I've built thick skin. So remember to stay strong and know that you have a unique gift. You can help someone right now with what you've got. So don't ever let someone tell you that you're not capable. Don't ever let someone tell you that that you need to keep practicing. Or no, you have something that you can offer to someone today. All right, and I'm doing the best I can with what I've got, and I'm constantly working on that, because I'm a student of life. And the second that you think you know, you end up hitting a glass ceiling or a ceiling glass. And I never get complacent. I will forever be a student, even after I die and I go on to my next incarnation. That's what we do here. But, be resilient, and don't let those people knock you off your stool, if you will. Be very strong and know that you are beautiful as you are perfect, you are divine, and it may not suit everyone and it may not mesh with everyone, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, the ray that you represent, or that you're an ambassador for, is going to attract the very people that you need, or that need to find you, or that need you. So remember, you are divine as you are, and you are here to be of service, and you're already doing such an incredible job. I'm sending you infinite love and light.